Okay, hello guys. I hope everything is going great. We try to be quiet and keep just two people speaking and not at once. We are sending you greetings from Moscow, from Shukhov Lab in Moscow, directed by Vicente Goyard. Here we are with 12 students from Italy, Russia, and Turkey doing the GSS program. And today we have two great friends of us and great experts in data analytics, Eduard Heim and Vadim Smakhtin. So they are both founders of the company which called Matryoshka, and where they're working with interaction design and also with the data analysis, as well as they are co-directors of the company called Habidatum. They're working with together with Alexei Novikov, and they are working in a great urban analysis, and I think they will be happy to show now some of the work. So I'm not going to take more time, and I give the word to the guys. And okay. So just have a seat.
Yeah. Hi. So yeah. Okay. So we have a new setup here. So we need to speak directly into the letter and still move it from the right side. So I hope it will be okay. So we decided to give maybe a short lecture. But instead of just showcasing our projects, we decided to talk about urban complexities and how to manage them, and manage them on different levels, not only on the level of, but also on the level of an interface for this project and the level of a team for this project. One second, I will switch to my PowerPoint. One second. I think it's here.
Without the microphone.
Yeah, so we have a two we call reprojections of cities. So basically, when we're doing any kind of visualization project or any type of an analysis project.
Sorry, guys. One thing. Sorry to interrupt, but probably I will have to do it sometimes. First, we don't see the screen, so we had to you have to share the screen. Second, if it's possible to avoid using the microphone because it's very difficult to hear what you're saying, it would be better. Okay. To share the screen, you have to activate the screen share on the left side of your window in Google Hangouts.
That is the pre-waiting screen share.
Good.
I see something.
Okay, let's do an audio test.
Yeah. So sorry for the videos. It's usually hard to Hangouts the video files, but we just have it. So again, I will switch to my PowerPoint presentation just to change slides. Okay, so where we stopped? Can you hear us well? Do you see the screen? So can we continue? Okay. So but basically, when we are doing some kind of visualization project, or when we are doing an analysis project, we are always doing reprojections, because cities can be shown as an array of layers, right? I mean, everybody talking about this. Yesterday and before yesterday, we spent like 2 evenings on Strelka listening about the stack concept, which shows us how social media layers, Bitcoin layers, traffic layers, all together getting into something called the stack, right? So, which basically a matrix which forms some kind of a digital view to the city. But what's such concept is that when we are doing such a concept, when we are aligning urban data as a plain and simple flat layers, we are always missing a lot of metadata. Did in this project back in 2013 when we analyzed network, cell phone network data which was provided by a megaphone. We just shown a movement of cell phone users, which is great, but it's not a city at all. And we think that cities are more like represented at layers. Can be with a lot of layers, but also cities are interaction and interconnection of all these different layers. And we think that this is important to understand, because when we are looking into this flat stack of different data layers, when we are looking into this flat and sometimes non-interactive maps, we are looking into some kind of a simplification, some kind of a reduction of a city. And what we are trying to do now is to provide a mechanism to and join all these reductions together to understand all complexity of a system. We found that an urban data, for example, into some simplified form, we always getting its latitude, longitude, and time, and that's it. So when we are projecting a city into a flat map, time, because the city is a dynamic system, right? So we found that we need three these values at least to get a basic view into any kind of urban data, such as mobility data, social networks data, and so on and so forth. And during the RIO project, and social networks data as just a textual data didn't work with a map at all, so you'll see the visualization soon, but we started to analyze and topics which people are discussing in social networks. And then we separated and split these topics into different regions. And we took like a favelas and a more central regions of Rio. People in it, if we compare different districts of a city, we found a lot. So people with income usually talking in social networks about family, some kind of activities with family, and so on and so forth. But while people in more rich districts are talking about fitness, cars, and all this stuff. I mean, this all is obvious, but what is interesting for us is that how this media landscapes are forming, and how these landscapes form a different picture of a city, because sometimes understanding of a more modern urban environments also involves a global surveillance systems, right? Like a camera tracking or something. Tracking systems are also just showing us one of the layers of a stack connected with another. And when we are trying to understand how this city is living, we always need to look deeper into its communications, because spaces in a city is places for communication, and this communication is creating a special semantic landscape, which forms not a different view to the city, but like a semantic city itself. This problem, better we created a Chronotope software, which you have seen on a video. This software allows a user to analyze different types of data, which always has three variables in it, latitude, longitude, and time, and blend these different different types of data layers together. And previously, as an artistic research team, on a more simple and more simple and more finished product. And for us, this ongoing way to create this Chronotope software is really challenging, because we changed the way how we are doing things a lot. And we think that for modern architect, designer, software engineer, it's really important to learn how to communicate, because I think that everybody now in this room, everybody who's watching this this streaming, everybody listened about a term which is called cross-disciplinarity, or interdisciplinary research, or designers who want to code, or coders who want to design some kind of a kind of a blend between different professions, between different way of doing things. But it actually doesn't scale so well. So when we worked as an individual team, we always used the same software. So me and Eduard, we shared the same software together. And what we was able to do is just simple visualizations, which looked like a prototypes. Then we started to scale, and then we started to hire people, a lot of people. And of course, we hired designers, which was focused only on designing things. We called in engineers who was focused on engineering things. And these two groups of people doesn't communicate well. And even if me and Eduard, we both have an background in design and software engineering, we wasn't able to create an efficient communications between these two groups. And we started to think how we can create this efficient communication. And we still don't have an answer. What we was able to understand is that it's better to communicate with each other when someone knows a little bit from the field. And when we are creating our projects right now, we are not separating the teams of engineers and the teams of designers. So we are not doing a waterfall development. We are always blending everything together. So even our documentation right now is blended. So we don't separate our design documentation and our engineer documentation. So we are everybody is reading everything, because the product, the data product that we are developing is always understand how it's engineered, because otherwise, if we are looking only into visual representation, we are not able to do good decisions. And while we was working on our interfaces, we also easily understood that while we are reducing cities in their complexity, while we are representing cities as a flat maps or as a three-dimensional maps, we're always losing the systems, right? We're always losing how cities are working, because as I described before, it's always about interconnectivity of different levels of a city, of different representations. And we easily jumped from this type of interfaces, where we have flat maps, where we have three-dimensional interfaces, where we have charts, bar charts, maps, everything. We easily jumped into something like this, which is really, really complex interfaces, which are complex not only to work with, they are really complex to develop and to manage teams who are working on these types of interfaces. And this moves us to an interesting topic, is that we can always simplify a complex system into more simple form. But while we are doing it, we should understand that this simple form is not a system at all. And we need an interface and communication protocol to blend this simplification with another simplification, with another simplification, with another simplification. People will do it for hours, for days, for weeks, for years. And I mean, this is an interesting barrier of software engineering or of a system engineering at all, because we cannot provide a simple interface which will allow us to work with a simple data. So we need to somehow teach people how to work with the complexity. And we are doing it step by step. So we are started from a really, really simple interfaces, where we had only like one layer, which, I mean, the layer in our system is a top, like where you see toponymy. We did this, And then we start, and you can add another layer. You will see it in 3D. I can show a live demo lately because I have just 2 or 3 slides left. So we have these types of layers which we can add. We can show map on it, but it doesn't show an inside of a system. So we started to add a complex calendars. We started to add a complex gradient choosers, complex subsetting tools, complex analytical tools on top of it, and now we are in complete chaos, a chaos of interface complexity, which was caused by our decision to simplify everything into this 3-dimensional matrix. And while I was doing it, we also easily understood our latest concept which we want to present. It's that when we open sourcing something, when we're opening an information to the public, we don't making it transparent. And this is an interesting thing, because when we are thinking about cities in terms of open data, open software, open hardware, these things are really open to everyone, because accessibility means openness. So we can open any kind of software, because I have a background in software engineering. I can give you an example. We can open source a browser, right? The Chrome right now is a browser that I think everyone is using in this room. It's open source. But I don't think that we have any man on a planet that know all its source code. And if somebody wants to re-implement it or want to fork it, create another version of it, this man, he needs a lot of understanding what is going on inside. And right now, it's a lot of a hype about open sourcing complex projects. Is this open complex projects are really open? Because Chrome created a monopoly, and it's a monopoly itself right now. It's open, the source code is open. You can create another browser, like a Yandex browser, Opera browser. Every browser like this is based on it. But these browsers are just interfaces for Chrome, for its rendering engine. Because to understand fully its rendering engine, you need to do a lot of work. You need to do a lot of understanding of how it's structured, how it's working. And when we are thinking about an open data in a city, we are doing the same thing. So in Moscow, we have a lot of open data. But we don't have a lot of data visualization projects over this open data. This means that as an bureau, some kind of as a construction bureau, we can open a renovation project to anyone as a lot of spreadsheets, right? But we not opening a knowledge to people. We are not enriching people with the knowledge, because we're just giving them a spreadsheet, which is sometimes even badly structured and badly formatted. So if you will work on if you will work on a data project for a wide amount of people, always think about how accessible is this project, how people can consume it. Is it easy for them? Is it shows what you want to show? So because visualization is always a storytelling. I hate this term, but it's always when you are showing and telling something through it, and it works only this way. So when we are just giving people a bunch of buttons on a flat screen and saying you can press and get some knowledge, we are not doing our job well. And we think that our a target with a team who is working right now on a Chronotop is to create an interface which will be so understandable as so complex it is. I think I'm done, and now I can show some demos and projects, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do you want to show some demos or something?
Не знаю. Я не знаю, можем показать что-нибудь, если проект следующий. Или вопрос.
Aldo, do we have time? We could show you some demos, or we could switch maybe to the questions.
I think questions is
We have time. I think we have only 10 minutes for the demo. 10 minutes. 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 10
Okay, so we have 10 minutes, and
Remember to, Mary, we are still looking at your presentation, so you should switch to the camera.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
I'm ready.
Are you ready for the camera to be shown to the world?
Okay, here we are.
Okay.
Hi.
Can we maybe, I don't know, move like this to the guys and maybe continue a bit with the little talk? Let's move a bit here so we could the talk. So I think I had a question directly, because when you are saying about the open source and when you're talking about visualization, I think there are two different things when you're speaking about the data visualization or giving the information, giving the data information. So definitely it's very simple to showcase information in a certain kind of flat and simple layer, but is it possible, because when you're saying, well, kind of how to not get lost in the translation, how to still keep the open source data, but make it understandable, but still don't translate it yet in the information that you already digested. It was on the screen.
Okay, so do you want to answer? Okay, so basically, early days in 2013, I think we had this chart, which was like a data, information, and then it was knowledge and wisdom, something like this. It's like a Maslow pyramid. But I mean, it's good, but I think we grow over it. So basically, the coolest concept that we think is that while you are translating some kind of a table of data into a map, you always losing something. Always. It's better to think about it like this. So when you are just, and when you have got a lot of data, like a huge database, right, about everything which going on in Moscow, and then you presented the project analysis or even a map, with it, you always lost something. And this is the coolest thing, is that when we are working with the complex systems, when we are engineering them, we are always trying to reduce the systems into simplified forms, and that's okay. So what we need to do is to create tools, create interfaces, softwares, which will allow us to reproject data faster and easily. So we need to create a software for computers which will be so advanced, which will allow us to say, okay, I want this huge table from this database from Moscow, just give it to me. And in a second it will be in front of you, because right now it takes hours. And this iteration speed, it's really important, because while we are letting people to iterate over information, we are allowing them to ask it what they want actually. And as much questions they can ask this information, as much knowledge they will get. So that's it. And of course everything will be lost, but this process of asking knowledge, it will be continuous. So it doesn't have any finish step. You're asking, and at some point, as a creator, as an analyst, you will understand, okay, I'm fine with such knowledge that I got from this information. So I'm done, I'm moving to the next project, on like this.
Do you have any questions? Maybe you could ask. I think we had a long discussion these days about the data. Many of the guys, they were asking the question of who should own the data. Should it be actually the open source, or should it belong to the government, or should it stay as it is now in the hands of the big companies?
It's actually also doesn't matter at all. And this is what also fascinates us in this discussion about who owns the data. Can be no one, can be a corporation, can be myself. I can own the data from you. But it doesn't change anything. About accessibility of data, and this was my point and Eduard's point. So accessibility means that bank has this data, can own this data, but this data should be accessible for us. And while, for example, different types of Moscow data is open right now because we have this data MOS rule, something like this, sometimes this data is just inaccessible on this portal. And that's what's really important, is even if we just given this badly formatted spreadsheets to public, we also didn't make these types of information accessible, because only few of, if we analyze a population of Moscow, for example, only few people can actually fetch the data from this website and analyze it, because otherwise everybody can download it, but that's it. And this is a trick which sometimes people are making when they want to hide the complexity of things through pseudo-transparency. And this is, it's always like this. So you cannot just give the raw material to people, and you need to make it accessible. Accessibility, when it's accessible, it means you own it, because you can know it and you can remember it, and you store it in your brain. It works like a computer. It doesn't matter on which server it is. And that's what you should think about, is that internet, it's a really bullshit term, but it's correct. As the internet is everywhere, and the territories which divides different segments of a network, it's nothing. And it really doesn't matter in which segment of a network this data belongs to. It's matter if it's accessible to you from this segment to that segment. When in Russia they created this new pseudo firewall, because it doesn't work like this, and started to block websites. They did nothing, because you still can access it via different anonymizers, right? And what they didn't delete this information, didn't remove it or took it from you. They made this information hardly accessible to you. So they reduced your accessibility. And this is also important.
I also, yes, if you have any questions,
Yes, the security of the data. And so the data is open source and anyone can access to it. For example, I'm using Moscow Weather Bike, and it tracks my movements in Moscow. Maybe someone can get the data from
They will.
Yeah, and maybe I don't want some people to know how I move.
You can.
Moscow.
Yeah, and this is also another trade-in that we are doing. We want comfort, a digital comfort. We don't want to be digital hobos, right? It's a concept when you, for example, lost your phone somewhere, and now you're a digital hobo. You cannot call Uber, you cannot eat, even you cannot pay if you use an Apple Pay or something. You became a digital hobos. And we don't want to become them, but we still want our privacy. And internet never was about the privacy. It was about an ubiquity of information. And we can hide with a different username, like vampire050/11. I can be this person, and still I can be myself. And this person, this vampire07, something like this person can be tracked, but his identity is unknown. This important thing. So, tracking doesn't mean revelation of identities. And the danger with tracking only when we can reveal identity. This is really important, because in a mobile data, for example, we can hide you the kind of ID, like me can be 025. But when people can correlate this ID with something, you got.
With your SIM card, for example.
Can be not. It's not working like this, because it's still anonymous. So they can usually, because mobile data providers, they are always strict with the privacy. So it's completely impossible to match you with your phone number ever. But you can do a correlation with that. This is what with a taxi data set in New York, for example. It was like this. You have an Uber data set with an anonymous person traversing through the city. And you have a Twitter data, where you can check who was at a conference, because people are just posting photos. And you see that, okay, the guy who I'm interested in set into this Uber. I saw it's in a photo. And then in dataset, I see that this exact Uber was at this location. And now I'm tracking where to go. So this is how people start celebrities. And this is always done via data correlation. And this is a really hard task to solve because we can anonymize different data sets, but we cannot always know what data set will be correlated with what data set. This is actually what I'm talking about in layers complexity. So here we can stack Instagram, Uber, everything into not connected stack of data layers. It will work and it will be anonymous, but when people start to intersect these layers, this is where
Mary, we also have
Question.
Yeah, I mean, we have
Yeah.
some questions here from Barcelona, but I guess there is time only for 2 questions. So we have just 10 minutes left, and let's try to give an answer that can combine both replies. Okay, so guys, do you have the word to start with the first question?
They have a question about what you really want to do or what you really want to do with all this information. Do you want to decentralize using blockchain or something like this?
No.
Or I don't know. It feels like this. I feel like people can handle a lot of data or whatever, and if we're looking for like an open source and how it kind of works.
We need a bit of translation. It was very, very badly. We couldn't hear it. So just could you repeat the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aldo, maybe you can repeat it.
The question was related to what you want to do with all this information. I mean, there are now structures like the one of blockchains. Now there is this idea of opening the information and creating more accessibility to it. So, I mean, if I proper interpretation, that's the direction of the question. I just want to say one way: China is there, Mexico is there, Beirut is there, Russia is there, Northern is here. So we already need someone, some other knows, but we are all almost learning to participate all together to these global elections. Okay, 5 minutes for the reply, and then we have another question from here.
Okay, Aldo, I just hear you very badly. But we got the first question.
Okay. Look, I'm not gonna use the microphone. So the question is, what you are going to do with all this information? I mean, there are models like the one of blockchain where you share this information in common platforms. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is, what's the structure where you're gonna probably share this information, and how you're gonna open it to others?
Okay. So actually, I don't own any kind of information. I'm like, when we started this working on such softwares, we understood that actually better to don't own anything because it's a lot of strict rules of keeping, for example, mobile data or storing the social networks data for a long time. So we are just providing people with the tools to analyze their own data, and that's it. So our Chronotrope software, for example, it's split into 2 parts. The one part is installed in an enterprise, for example, mobile network operator, and another part on our servers. And mobile network operator uploads raw data into this data converter, which we gave him, and then this data converter sends us fully anonymized like a heat maps. That's it. Heat maps with the metadata or without metadata, and only data converter can know which kind of metadata is hidden and compressed into this. We call these things as slices. It's like a lot of heat maps stacked into a matrix. And we think this is a really good approach because it separates us from questions like who owns this data, will you use this data for public good, or will you spy on people, all these things which we don't like, because we are interaction engineers actually. We want to produce and create tools which will allow people to better understand different kinds of data and these tools will not ever depend on who owns ownable data or ownership rights, something like this. So we're always concentrating only on the visualization and the analysis, never on the data storage at all.
I have another question. If Barcelona has another one, let us know.
We have another
Do you guys
one.
think-
I mean, I have some comments on what you said, but let's keep to the.
Yeah, I also have some.
I mean, I'm just a model of. I mean, just in terms of methodology. I mean, we couldn't. There were some glimpses of your platform, and I know it, so I know how it works. I'm not sure that all the students have an understanding on how it works. It's extremely interesting and appealing. How it looks like, and it's very interesting, this idea of layering down all the different behaviors, all the different data sets that you are looking into, and using the parameter of time in order to compare them. Yeah? But I guess the question was more about how you can actually access those information even from an external environment without talking about identities, no? Without talking about properties of data, but was more about how we can probably extract this data and start to get our own consideration for it. So convert this data into a form of knowledge and conclusions. Well,
Yeah.
aside from this comment, I'm just to hear the other question, the last question for this session. So guys, someone can come here to make a question. So last question from Barcelona, and then I don't know if there is one from Mexico or Iran.
I also want to add one thing.
Yeah, because it's really hard to understand, because sometimes you switch off and down on words like a soul,
Actually,
and
what
then
Adi was saying, that I think this question is every time we answer to you guys this question all the time. Actually, how can we use this data and how can we implement this data? And my question kind of just continuing on the stop. I'm sorry, I think we confused it. But kind of, do you have a chance of working in it? I know that you did. Working the environment can take this data and start implementing this in the urban fabric, or where actually this data is being used in order to modify the city pattern, develop the city, or did you have a chance of working with this?
yeah. So we did a lot of pilot projects. It was mostly so I think they muted. Can you please mute a little bit?
We are really good. Now I'm muted, of course. Maybe.
Yeah.
Everything was clear up to now. Just I see that there is a little bit more complexity now in communicating. Can we just do the last question and we try to give the last answer?
Tommy, yeah, what's the question?
Can we just make the last question and we see if we can hear your answer? Because I see that probably the connection is getting a little bit more complicated now, worse.
How it works?
Yeah.
Right?
Aldo, I hear you very badly. I'm sorry again. Can you repeat your question, please?
Okay, we're gonna make the question now. Luciana, we try to make the last question, just one question, and we close the conversation.
Okay, so my question, as I'm from Brazil, this question goes a bit to the beginning of the presentation. And it's about, well, how can this technology help Rio to reduce the social barriers it has? Because I understand you have different data collected from different sources and you obtain different results, but how do you translate that into a solution?
Okay.
Good.
That's activity, and we perfectly heard you. So again, I will start from my previous answer and then move to you. I think I will do it. So again, what we're trying to do right now is to be a software company and not a service company anymore. This is a really important transition to us because we want to scale and we want to spread the software that we created into different industries and into different regions. So back 2 years ago, we traveled a lot around the globe and did a pilot projects in countries from Singapore to Dubai. And it was an analytical project where we analyzed always urban communities. We just segregated these communities to try to analyze how, which types of people, which types of groups of people we have in different communities. Also, we tried to analyze how these communities communicate and how they spread through the city. It was a really important journey for us. But it's we didn't. I think we didn't change anything on a place. So we created a lot of analysis, and people got a lot of paperwork from us. But I didn't know if this paperwork implemented or not. Especially because I'm not an analyst. I'm a software engineer. So I'm working as a supporter on a project. So I'm being on it, like let's name it data side. So I'm usually saying analysts that, okay, we have these types of data, we can analyze these things, and I'm bridging the gap between a data scientist, so between people who do a lot of coding for analyze data, and people who are making analytical decisions. So I'm a mediator. So I actually don't create anything, I'm creating a communication. And communication is my most important and valuable product for me. And our interest right now is to spread our software as a communication machine into different industries. So people can communicate with each other through the medium of our software. So people, for example, the city planners can upload different city data into our Chronotalk and then discuss all together in the meeting rooms how this data can be used. We still are providing an analytical consulting to these companies when these companies need us. But my dream is to eliminate this consulting factor and to make the software live on its own. And the software will live not without people because it's not an analytical engine. It's a communication device. So these people always work with people and work for people, but not with us. We will just create additional functionality, which will add new things to discuss in the different teams.
I also wanted to ask, since I know you work, and I think you have a very interesting analysis that actually you show us, but you didn't mention about the time factor in your maps. Maybe in case you could open some of your visualizations and actually to showcase, no, because the three-dimensional maps that you're showing, no?
Yeah.
And I think that you just didn't mention, and I'm not sure that my guys here, they know it, and I'm not sure that Barcelona could actually follow that.
Yeah, okay. Yes, so... Which maybe YouTube or something do we have? Может быть, где-то есть Chronotalk? Просто ты имеешь в виду Chronotalk? It's basically here. One sec. I mean, it's here, but I can make it bigger. Okay. We have a mouse here.
They don't see it, actually.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah,
just a second, I'll share it for you. Okay, we got it. Just a second.
Yeah, so this is, I'm streaming, I've seen this blue squares in between of two maps. Yeah, I can even make it move. Yeah, so this is again, just to focus the topic, this is the software that we are developing right now, which is called a Chronotalk. And maybe, because I thought that somebody already familiar with it, so I almost skipped the explanation about the software and just talked about like a fundamental concepts of the software. So the software works as a three-dimensional map, and instead of a flat map, we see something like a sequence of a flat maps actually. And these flat maps can be anything, to social networks data, to banking transactions, actually anything. But of course, it has a data and limitations. So we can import data into the software, and this data should always have an geolocation and time components. Because while we are traversing bottom to the top in this software, we always see how information evolves through time. So it's basically like a stack of a heat maps. Which moves from a bottom to the top. Maps showing us different indicators. Like right now you see an open Google Places and open Google Places 2, which is for me is good because it illustrates the interconnectivity concept. So basically what we are doing, we are selecting an interesting Google Places, like right now everything in the first layer, and on a second layer we choose everything but discarded health, finance, food services and car services. And now we can multiply these two layers and see where health, finance, food and car services are not represented, which is not right. I don't know why we included this video. So
Okay.
continue.
I want to sorry guys, but I think the lecture. Yeah. Thank you for the lecture. I mean, it was super interesting, and I'm very happy about the two speakers that we had so far. I guess that you both gave us a different vision of the city and a different vision of how we can read the reality of the city through data and develop new system of urban design through it. That was the lecture of China on Monday. So thank you for participating. And it was thank you for the lecture, and we're going to meet it also on Friday for these appointments. So thank you guys.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for the notes participating as well.